Welcome to Different Gravy, Not Just Another Sheffield Wednesday podcast. I'm one of the hosts, Richard Miller, and my co-host, I have an announcement to make. As a result of a routine drug test following last week's podcast, Dr. Luke Ledall produced a sample filled to the brim with banned performance enhancers. Boldenin, an anabolic steroid used to make a podcaster more outspoken. Human growth hormone to build the vocal cords and allow the podcaster to talk louder than other broadcasters. EPO, boosting red blood cells and producing lightning quick takes, and trace elements of Joker energy drink. This points to a Canadian state-sponsored program to produce top-level podcasters by any means necessary. As a result, all Canadians are banned from Different Gravy for the foreseeable future. Despite this ban, Dr. Luke Ledall will continue to participate unhindered at all, unhindered under the banner of the Canadian Podcasting Committee. Welcome back, Dr. Luke Ledall. How are you doing today?
I'm good, though. I mean, this is really sad news because I did have Ian Hume and Simeon Jackson lined up as footballing guests.
Well,
of course, as I said before, I can't speak to any Sheffield Wednesday football players, but other football players, totally fine.
Do you know, I'm referring to the fact that Russia is banned because there is state-sponsored doping, but all of their athletes are still allowed to compete in the Olympics and win lots of gold medals under the banner of Russian Olympic Committee, which is smells a lot of BS, really.
It does.
So you're fine. You, Andy, and Hume can toddle onto the podcast unencumbered. You're absolutely fine.
Cool. I'll work out a time with Hume to get him off.
Because state-sponsored doping still lets you wander in and be number 4 in the medal table.
Exactly. And we are looking to be basically the kind of under the cosh version with very underwhelming Canadian former football players.
Oh, if only.
If only.
So you're well?
I'm fine.
That's
good.
I'm
doing okay. It's a hot day today. It's about 32 outside, and I'm cramped in my little cubby hole, so it's a bit sweaty.
It's a bit sweaty.
I am wearing a Gravy Industries baseball tee.
Nice.
Which is nice, but it's going to be a bit stinky after today because it's been a long old day. I've played 2 rounds of disc golf, and I've eaten a massive bowl of ramen, Slurpee, McDonald's, Tim Hortons.
Wow.
And I'm ready to pour all that lovely sweat into this recording of Different Gravy.
Ooh,
chatting Sheffield Wednesday news with you. And today we'll be looking at predictions and looking over a little bit of more Wednesday news this week.
Yeah, and this is it's a bit of a first. We're kind of I'm burning the post midnight oil, which probably makes it a very reasonable time for you, Luke. It might be a slightly different energy. It's wearing shades indoors. Sort of energy. That's what we're bringing today. But I think it's been a big week, so I'm gonna put us on an official news footing.
Breaking hoo-hoos.
So, Mr. Corey Haim of the podcast, Richard Miller, please put on your sunglasses at night and take us through like this week's dealings in the world of Sheffield Wednesday Football Club.
Well, we're a bit spoiled for choice this week, aren't we?
It is a bit. Say that again.
So, I suppose chronological order's as good as any. We was it officially a double announcement, or was there a particular order to the 2 signings on Tuesday?
They neshed a double announcement, despite the fact that everybody thought it was coming as a double. We didn't get to see them both there, I guess, because not like they're kind of unlikely twins. maybe, and they're not also from the same club. So anyway, the first one that came in was our new number one goalkeeper.
Yeah, Bailey Peacock Farrell, who we talked about last week being a pretty unbelievable get for a team in League One. But we gone and got him.
We only gone and done and paid the loan fee. Got him through the door, didn't we? We both had him in the building and both got him over the line.
I can't believe we got it over the line, because we know that's the most difficult bit.
I know Brian Laws wasn't very good at that, was he? But clearly Darren Moore seems to be better. Seems to be better at tugging him over the line in the tug of war to get them over the line, him and their agent.
Well, he's a burly chap, isn't he? If you'd back anyone to get somebody over a line, it would probably
Darren
be
Moore, which is probably like literally the pulling power that Darren Moore has. It's Sheffield Wednesday led way.
Seems to be tangible.
Mm-hmm.
It really seems to be a thing that he plays a part in attracting these folks to the club, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that says of our last manager that was trying to do a build in the summer, but presumably people just hate Gary Monk, and the very sight of him puts them off signing. So
he looked too coy. That's what they said.
It's just far too coy.
Where they then disappeared off to sign for Huddersfield and Birmingham as an alternative at the time.
Yeah, they assume there must be something in the small print that invalidates the rest of the contract.
Exactly.
Because he's just got such a coy look on his little face.
But Darren Moore's only gone and brought in a very exceptional, highly rated Premier League loan goalkeeper to literally be our number one, which we'll get on to later. Yeah, Bailey Peacock Farrell from Burnley, formerly of Leeds, Dirty Leeds.
I think, we've talked a lot about our goalkeeping situation. I'm very, very pleased that we've addressed that.
Mm-hmm.
I have to be honest and say I don't know a huge amount about Bailey Peacock Farrell himself, although, it's a fun double-barreled name. It's a fun first name. How many Baileys do you know? But it's the fact that Darren Moore saw that this was a situation that needed to be addressed, I think, speaks volumes. It means he's watching the game with the same pair of eyes as most of the fans, because I don't think anybody's felt like this summer we could really... Well, nobody was excited about the prospect of either Wildsmith or Dawson being the first choice going into another season. So the fact we've addressed that's massive. Hopefully he does a fantastic job, but I'd be surprised if he's worse, at the risk of kind of courting a bit of setting up a bit of a trap for myself. It would really shock me. And the other side of this is that Dawson's gone out on loan to Exeter.
Mm-hmm. Yes, later in the week, confirmed. I think he was said actually after the Port Vale friendly, wasn't it? Saying that Darren Moore was saying, look, this is going to happen. So it was kind of a bit protracted. And I think, was it a couple of days later? It was actually confirmed.
That's
so that
right.
was Tuesday. I think it was the Thursday. It was confirmed that Dawson had left on the season-long loan to Exeter. I think it's telling that, interesting that we seem to hear kind of within the media, again, the name mentioned for Alan Nixon was talking about, basically they seem to want to get one of the goalkeepers out, and he was kind of wondering whether it was primarily Wildsmith. Wildsmith has a year left on his contract, so maybe there's a good opportunity to either see him out the door on the loan or try and just get a nominal fee to kind of get him out the door. But I'm wondering if the mentality now is basically saying, well, we have a lengthy contract for Cameron Dawson. Maybe upon some time, I think it seemed like Dawson was the more promising of the two. I'm really not sure anymore. I think that may well have been true at some point in time, but I think we're so far removed from that, really, from based on performances from Dawson and Wildsmith. Wildsmith would be the slightly better, or should I say less worse option to kind of start, but I don't know. It kind of became, I think we talked about this before with the goalkeeper situation, a little bit similar to how I was using the analogy of like reminding myself of our last disappointing dip into the toe into the depths of the third tier last time we got relegated, and signing a string of strikers who, Mellor, Morrison, and Paul Heffernan, and there's this kind of feature around Paul Heffernan saying that he was seemingly signed first, but then much pushed down the ranks. But it felt when things weren't working, it felt the question of, well, where is Paul Heffernan? How bad is Paul Heffernan?
Yeah.
We never really have a great basis of that. So sometimes I think the danger kind of becomes, and especially seeing with a very quick rotation of goalkeepers, which, I mean, in some senses, there's nothing against having that happen and having that being something that's done. The problem kind of becomes is that it seems to be something that is not typically done within football. Having that kind of quick interchange of goalkeepers implies there isn't much kind of great starting faith in a position where largely kind of let's look at Westwood and think about this in terms of fitness. There shouldn't really be any question as to why, unless there's some kind of injury that crops up.
Yeah.
But largely that's a position which, you can have a goalkeeper who can play an entire season in the net. So having that kind of quick rotation, I never really know who's the better one of the two. I don't know. They are different players. They are different goalkeepers. But again, maybe the mentality is, especially in this situation with such a lengthy contract, there's either two ways to look at it. You can either look at it from a very negative sense and saying, well, we've got him for this many years, so this kind of treads water and runs down the contract, a little bit similar to, I know, thinking about a player like Jordan Rhodes. Or you could maybe they still think that there's some little bit of growth and potential that can happen. We talk a lot about how the misconception around Cameron Dawson is that he's a young man. He's certainly younger than me and you, Rich, but he's not younger in the eyes of kind of promising youngsters and academy players developing through. In fact, he's very solidly around that middle 20s.
He's ticked off another birthday, hasn't he? Which takes him to 26.
Yes. Yeah.
Which I know doesn't really mean anything, but it serves to illustrate the fact that this is no longer a young pup. This is somebody who should be entering their kind of athletic prime. And I know goalkeepers mature later, but 26 is pretty late to mature if you're going to mature. But I liked Moore said, this is someone we've invested in. He's a Wednesday player. And I think that's the fact he's got a loan. Presumably he'll be an unquestioned sort of number one choice for them. Mm-hmm. That might do his confidence a world of good, because I think it's a really tough, as you say, it's a really tough thing to say which one is the better out of the two. I think Dawson's much better build for a goalkeeper than Wildsmith, but it's not the be all and end all, obviously. But I think with both of them, it seems to be they start off okay and then get gradually worse when they get chances in the first team, which is not a great position to be in, is it?
No.
So you tend to get like one or two really good performances, and then 5 or 6 of it getting gradually worse and worse, and then the next 4 or 5 are bad. That seems to be the way of it with both of them. So anyway, yeah, I'm glad we've addressed it. I'm really pleased we've got a new player in. I'm amazed at the caliber of player that we've got. Although, we're talking a full international for Northern Ireland, dropping down to League One. So it's a very positive signing in. It's addressing our weaknesses. It's a very positive signing in that it shows that there is this draw of Darren Moore. He's obviously doing a good job of selling the project, whatever the project is at Hillsborough this season. He's doing a good job of getting people to buy into that as well, because it seems to have been a theme across several players. So yeah, good signing. And then the next one was a complete surprise. as far as I was aware, we weren't linked with this player at all, and then we signed Lewis Wing.
Yeah, that seemed to kind of crop out. Well, I think, Peacock Farrell was a much longer kind of gestation rumor period. Lewis Wing was a hell of a lot shorter in kind of the name coming into frame and then coming to fruition. There was a very, very short rotation around the sun, if that.
Yes.
Impeccably quick timing with that coming back around. So no, really fantastic. A player who showed a lot of promise and, has been at times a very established player for Middlesbrough in the past.
Yeah.
I think I kind of understand that there's been some falling out with him and the management at Middlesbrough, but then someone who also went and had a very impressive loan spell for Rotherham, in the Championship for the latter half of last season.
Did he score against us, or he set up a goal against us? He didn't. He shone really against us in one of the games.
I think we can definitely say that, yeah, he did shine against us. So someone who this is the interesting thing with so many of these signings. I'd be so happy with a lot of these in a kind of slightly cheaper reboot in the Championship. I would feel a lot better, if we were in that situation where we were signing players of this caliber. I think they're good enough.
Yeah.
For definitely a lower around the middle half of the Championship team. So to have so many of these players through the door is in that ilk is just fantastic. The fact we've managed to convince them and we can still seemingly operate within limitations to bring in players of his caliber is really, really good, I must say.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's it seems a really good player to get through the door, someone who's creative, got a bit of physicality about their game. He's 6'2", I think. So that's something we're a pretty small midfield. I think even with Adenrian, we're pretty small in midfield. I don't think he's the biggest. So it's something a bit different in there. I don't know whether Wing can play a wing, but maybe it gives us an option there as well. I know he's forward thinking.
Well, clearly it's in his name, so clearly it comes from a generation of nominative determinism.
He's a born winger.
He's a born winger. Yeah. Just like Jeremy box to box. Really made that position his own, and really, it was the person who bore the term box to box. Really, I must say.
Well, a lot of people don't know that Makalele is French for box to box.
Exactly. Very, very, very good, Rich. Very true. Very true. Thank you for reminding me of such a thing. I did chat to our mutual friend, Phil, who's a Borough fan, about Lewis Wing, and I said, how do you think about that? What do you make of that? He said he was a little bit kind of like Reed, chief kind of flatters to deceive.
Okay.
I mean, if we're getting this for a season, and if we're getting this as part of where he is, off the back of a very kind of very, very solid, impressive loan spell for Rotherham, dropping down a level, I think I'd be very happy with what he will probably contribute, I imagine, from a very similar kind of output to medium to prime Reach. I'm kind of expecting similar things from that. Well, I think that if that's something we get with that kind of output, and I mean, kind of jump ahead a little bit, but he did actually set up and take a decent corner against Port Vale, which we scored from.
Yeah, and that's another thing. I mean, having somebody that takes set pieces competently would be a nice thing to have.
A marked improvement on what we've played, what we've had for the last at least last season, possibly pushing into 2 seasons for Sheffield Wednesday.
Just even just to remove some of the pressure and give a bit of competition to Barry Bannon, that would be a nice option to have available.
Very true.
So the final signing of the week, a big week, was Florian Cambery.
Yes.
a big striker on loan from top level Swiss team St. Gallen.
Mm-hmm.
You're a big follower of St. Gallen, so do you know Florian through and through?
Sure. So you're going to pressure me in that situation on the podcast, Rich, just out of it to say everything I know about Florian Camberry.
Well, I know that St. Gallen were named after Kevin Gallen, weren't they?
They were, yes. The regular saint of Duff crab football was Kevin Gallen.
But so he's fascinating. It was fascinating to hear his accent in the interview. I don't know if you picked up, but because he spent a fair bit of time in Scotland, his English is slightly accented.
Excellent. That's good to know.
So he'll
be able to understand the most Scottish of them all, Liam Palmer, I guess.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, of course. Which is a real benefit, I guess. Which is probably the benefit of why we brought him in, because it clearly can't be his goal record from the past couple of seasons.
That's the thing. It's a little bit hard to get excited about a striker coming in that has had such a patchy time of things.
And spent kind of like a very kind of weird, flirtatious period in Scotland the past few years, right?
Well, that's it. So he was at Hibs on loan and got 9 goals in 14 games, which is fantastic. I mean, nobody's sniffing or laughing at that. He then got a permanent deal from Hibs and got 11 in the next 53. So his strike rate slowed down markedly at that point.
I mean, that's still kind of New US, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
Pushing
certainly not,
1 in 4, 4 for 5.
Yeah, that's not too bad of a rate, really. I think you take that, but you probably wouldn't want to be the only person that you're relying on for goals.
Right. You'd probably want to hear stories about how a lot of those were sub appearances, and he has different tools in his game which is being utilized for.
So I did read an article from a Rangers fan website or something like that, and they were sort of saying basically his time there was scuppered by COVID-19, so he never really got the chance to get going, but he did get 2 assists and score 1 goal in 6 games, so not a terrible return. And it does appear that he does get assists alongside his goals. He's not just a goal scorer, which is good because he doesn't often score recently. But he, a bit like Atinu, he makes space in the game for others. He's quite happy to take the ball into feet and play with his back to the goal and sort of feed people in. Although he looks like a better athlete than Atty in that he can actually sort of offer a bit of pace in behind as well. So if he gets people turned around, he's got something to offer there. Another sort of bolt from the blue, really, but hopeful. We need strikers. We've got
I really hope that there's some stuff coming in. I don't mind kind of like a cheapish gamble for the centre forward option. I think we know that. I guess interestingly, we can kind of push on and kind of look at. Maybe this is the point to kind of push on and kind of look at the squad numbers that were announced. So we may we may book the trend of looking chronologically for this week, because there might be a few things we can look at as well. But I mean, the interesting thing from that is Canberra's number 20. We still have a number 9 shirt open.
Yeah.
What are you trying to think about? I'm looking kind of through the list here. There's some things that I'm like, oh, makes sense. Some things that, doesn't kind of throw me a great deal. Was Dawson's shirt 12 when he was with Wednesday? Because he definitely wasn't number 1. Peacock Farrell was taken number 1.
He might have been 12, yeah.
To which that's kind of vacant right now. Wildsmith was 28, which I seem to remember before. Luongo takes 21, which was fine. A lot of these are kind of regular. I guess the interesting thing is 44 Jackson. Is that kind of one of the young goalkeeping options?
That will be, won't it? Yeah.
Right, because now there's still the need to kind of recognize free goalkeeping options. So whether Jackson would get a sniff if people were injured or suspended, then that's something else completely.
Yeah. Luke Jackson, that will be.
Luke Jackson. Yeah, the guy from Sleepy Jackson.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, that's Luke Steele, who is also a different goalkeeper.
Luke Jackson is from Sleepy. No, wait. How do we do this?
Sleepy Steele.
Sleepy Steele. Yeah.
Yeah.
Luke Steele's
that's the Sheffield-based Sleepy Jackson covers band.
Yeah.
That I'll be playing some gigs whenever I get back to Sheffield with, obviously, alongside my other Sheffield team, Penis Tone for the Painfully Alone.
I suppose it's interesting that it's Jackson that gets the award. I'm sorry, just moving on.
Moving on. Just step on from there. Oh, jeez. How should I react to that one? I'll just move on, ignore it. Okay.
I did laugh through, but yeah, maybe it was
moving on.
Moving swiftly along. Here we go. No, but I think Josh Render's been the one that feels a little bit further up the pecking order. Because was it last summer that he was sort of palling around with, kind of getting the Mickey knocked out of him by Cammy and Wildsmith in the videos?
Cammy and Top 40 Joe in some of the videos. Yeah, he was kind of coming and looking into that coaching frame, wasn't it? Because what they would do is they wouldn't practice any goalkeeping. They would just laugh and sneer and flick their noses up over at Kieran Westwood, training over with the kids in the other field.
One thing that we should note, just this is not it's not exactly squad number news. It's far more important than that. Wildsmith appears to have cut his hair and looks a heck of a lot better, which is a shame that he left it so long, because he could have had the nice hair for that video that everyone was watching.
Yes.
He's a week too late.
Shame. A week too late, yes. But he's always a bit late, though, isn't he? As well.
Yeah. I don't like the fact that it's Jackson's like stuck on the end, and it as they're presented on the website, they're sort of mirror image of each other, but then there's one extra at the bottom, and I don't know, it just annoys me. Like I feel like the one extra should either be on the left or in the middle. It should definitely not be on the right.
Mm-hmm.
I know this is big stuff. This is important stuff.
Moving on.
To me, the most interesting thing in the squad numbers is Adeniran being number 8, which to me would say he definitely is probably going to be a first team berth.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. I thought it was interesting to look at Hutchinson at 5.
Yeah,
kind of the slow retirement back as he regresses back the pitch, much like my hairline. Number 4 is free. Number 4 is an interesting one. So do you think that kind of resembles... Number 4 is always an interesting number within the fabric of English football, because it's one that's typically seen for a midfielder.
Yeah.
Despite the fact I think it should be a centre-back. I always view it that it should be a centre-back, but there is an argument that a 4 is a centre-mid type of character. Yeah, so that's there. Number 9 is still available, like we mentioned. So still available. I'm with Canberra. I didn't think that he was going to be... I'd be severely disappointed if he is our marquee striker signing. I don't think he's going to be. I really bloody hope so.
He's at number 20.
He's at number 20. 18, which is sometimes the poor man's fake number 9, 1 + 8. Kind of comes in there as well. That's free. I mean, the rest of it is...
Windass wore 18 last season, didn't he? And Patterson won 5 last season.
Mm-hmm.
He's taken up the 13, which was Burner's number.
Mm-hmm. You find it interesting looking over some of the fabric of some of the youngsters that are kind of coming up and coming through. I mean, that's the interesting thing. I think we've also heard some rumours from the local press that there are a number of number of youth players who are looking to be kind of put out on loan. Alex Hunt is one of those whose name is in the fabric. I don't think Charles Hagan was there, as was Ryan Galvin.
Right. In the rumors of going out on loan.
Interesting. Yeah, here we are recording this very late Sunday morning ahead of, the first game of the season, the move forward game of Wednesday against Huddersfield is it the Carabao Cup? Is that what this one is?
Probably.
So we're all still get marketed that we can buy large multi-packs for a mild discount. It's acting like we're all running a nightclub where we do like vodka and Carabao. Be like, oh great, this will be better than getting from the cash and carry. So Alex Hunskinen mentioned in there, but he has a squad number, as does Adedoyan.
Yeah.
Adedoyan's still a player who I don't quite know how kind of close he is to the fabric of the first team, but he has good fairly substantially and has notched a couple of goals. So I'm wondering if that means that he's put himself very much in the thoughts of being the fourth fish striker in Darren Moore's world.
I thought when he was brought in that the idea was he was going to be a first team player. I thought that was the talk, and then he immediately got a horrific injury.
Yes.
So it was derailed before it started. His
very much so, yeah.
His march to first team joy. So I'm not that surprised to see him there. I think he's had a fairly good pre-season. The one game I saw, he obviously scored in, and I thought he looked a bright spark all the way through. He looks a confident boy. So yeah, I mean, fingers crossed. I'd like him to be an option. I don't think he's ready to be the first choice. It's going to be interesting to see how we set up, because the players we've signed don't really point to a specific way of lining up, as far as I can tell. And the players we continue to get linked with are sort of intriguing as well. So is it worth now talking about rumours of incoming players?
I think it is interesting. Yeah, I mean, I'd almost kind of the fabric of this kind of look, contextually and chronologically, that probably before Canberra. So that was the real surprise, that we were seemingly said in kind of local media so incredibly close to bringing in a few players. Alan Nixon seems to think that we've made an agreement with George Byers with the player, but then it seems to be held up with what are Swansea doing, because they're going through a bit of a managerial kind of nightmare. Who are they hiring now? Swansea have got a new manager coming in who's a bit underwhelming.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but then there's also the fact with Swansea, the weird thing, the fact that they play, even though they play in the English League, it needs international clearance, and I don't know whether that might be part of the hold-up as well. Before he comes on board. But I'm not sure who they've been linked with, sorry. They're having a bit of a weird summer, I know that much. Mm-hmm. But they're also one of the many clubs that needed to get promoted last season because the parachute payments have run out.
So they're looking to appoint Russell Martin, the MK Dons manager, as their new coach.
Wow.
Which would seemingly, if I was a Swansea fan, if I was a Jack, I'd be jacked off in the worst way.
This is what we're saying. This is sunglasses at night energy that we're bringing to this evening. Different sort of vibe. It's the jokes are worse and the laughs are lower energy, and it's just bringing something new to the mix.
Don't need to bring a nightlight out to see some of the grotty mistakes that we're bringing into the fabric of this podcast. Russell Martin's a very, very disappointing managerial, because there seemed to be some news that like Chris Wilder was going to be the next gig for Chrissy Bauman.
Really?
Yeah, but then, if you're not wanting to spend, he clearly wants to go into the next job where he thinks he's get himself a decent pay packet, another opportunity for success. He probably still thinks his stock is high. His stock will keep getting lower until he probably accepts a job at Nottingham Forest. You know? Well, that was the Chris Hughton thing, wasn't it? It's like, well, I don't go to Wednesday because I'm a Premier League manager. And then he went to Forest.
Yeah.
Forest. And it was like, okay, well, there we go.
And did badly there as well.
And did badly as well, yeah. So I think some stuff with George Byers could potentially happen. That's an interesting character, though, because he's more of a central midfielder, isn't he?
Well, I think that's what's interesting, because if we've signed a couple of midfielders now, in addition to the ones we already have at the club, and that's where you sort of start to think: is the idea going to be that we have three in the middle there, or maybe quite a tight?
We've certainly got the numbers for that, haven't we? Really?
Yeah.
Even if we look to ship Hunt out.
The other option, and I know people have, because there's been a bit of like being linked with these midfielders. People are saying, okay, that must mean Barry Bannon's going to go. Although we keep getting told no, but it might be that Moore sees a different role for Bannon. It's sort of forgotten that a fair amount of the time, that first season under Carlos, Barry Bannon played on a wing, one of the wings or the other.
Yeah.
Or certainly more, like sort of started in that position and maybe drifted inside.
Kind of tight left type thing, right? Yeah.
I mean, potentially to kind of force him to get involved further up the pitch and stop dropping back. Maybe the idea for Moore is to say, actually, do you know what? You're playing kind of inside left, inside right type position. That's your role this season.
That is interesting.
Ask him to do less running. He's taking on less like personal responsibility, and leaving it to other people that maybe are a bit better at it. Because I think that's the thing. He wants to do everything, but defensively, he is not the best defender. So he can get in under his, get sort of dragged in under the pressure of situations, and that hurts the team. So it might be that we see something interesting in that style.
Yeah.
Although typical of Wednesday, we're doing all of this recruitment as we, bundle towards the start of the season. So we'll probably spend September working out what the game plan is, and maybe October getting used to it. But yeah, interesting, George Byers. I don't know how much of a sort of creative player he is, but
I think there's been some stuff about him like changing roles inside the football club. So previously being a creative player and then being kind of told to do a different job within the midfield. But yeah, again, another centre mid from what I feel like I understand about him as a player. The other two players were kind of, I don't know whether one was happening or then it was interchangeable, but Josh Sims.
Yes.
Who has been linked with us before, I believe.
Well, I get him mixed up with
the one who actually got on loan, the other guy who came in.
There
was another winger from Southampton.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think his name began with an S as well. Anyway, I get him mixed up with him.
Fleet-footed, young, spry winger from Southampton.
But supposedly Byers would be a signing for us on a free, which again sort of speaks to this fact that
your frees and loans.
Well, yeah, but also Swansea are kind of just looking to clear some folks off the wage bill because the juicy teat of the Premier League has been ripped from their grasp. And Sims has been released, hasn't he, as well? So he's another one. He's a kind of formerly promising youngster who is now 24 and without a club. So hopefully, but he's had a good season or two recently out on loan at teams. So I mean, sounds like a good addition. If we're going to play with wingers, we're a bit light for wingers, so it'd be nice to see an addition or two in that role. We've also winger-wise been linked with Marvin Johnson.
You were thinking of Lloyd Isgrove before, weren't you?
That's it, Lloyd Isgrove.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but also, yeah, let's go on and talk about Marvin Johnson. Marvin Johnson, who seems to be would be a pretty decent acquisition, I think, and someone who I think Middlesbrough fans were quite upset to see him go when he's released.
Yeah. Seems to be a guy that can sort of operate all across that left flank. Has played wing back,
former Piglet as well.
Former Piggy,
Mm-hmm.
yes. Although we've had some good former Piggies. Danny Bart, John Paul McGovern, to name a couple. It's not always a kiss of death
to name the only two of them.
To be linked with the bacony side.
Mm-hmm.
That I think that would be interesting, because again, it's looking at what's this team going to look like? Is it going to if we've got Hunt, is Hunt going to play right back? Is Hunt going to be a kind of defensive right winger? Are we playing wing backs this season? If we're playing wing backs and three in the middle defensively, we probably need another defender.
I definitely think so, yeah. I'm surprised you haven't had anything more on that. Like, I'm liking the work we're doing to enhance our attacking side, but it's still... Oh, did you find it funny also looking at the squad numbers? There's no squad number for Julian Berner.
Hasn't he gone now?
Has it been confirmed that he's gone?
I thought it was, but maybe
I keep hearing that it was always kind of edging closer to completion, but I haven't seen any announcement from the club.
Wikipedia is saying current team is Sheffield Wednesday. I think it's sort of all done by the shouting. But
it's still,
because we heard the fee that was agreed, even, didn't we?
We did, but it's still something that's not being kind of confirmed.
I wonder if, I don't know, who knows? Maybe Brexit's having a part to play in all this stuff. Who knows?
Can't get the fine German exports back to Germany.
Yes, exactly.
Someone sends you some delicious bockwurst, you can't get it back out of the country.
Oh yeah, well, that's what I said. So Patterson's sort of taken his spot. Yeah, strange one. I hadn't sort of twigged that it wasn't official that he'd gone. He didn't play in the friendly though this week, did he?
No,
which he has played all the other friendlies.
No, interesting.
So I think probably it's just waiting for it. It's done. It's just waiting for the ink to dry, or whatever the right analogy is for that. The other rumor that we've just sort of we had the trial. We had WAWAW. On trial, and his trial's ended. He's gone back to Chelsea, but apparently we were quite impressed, and we're still keeping tabs on him. So that's another midfield option. So interesting. The other thing we'll obviously have to watch is you're only allowed so many loanees in your match day squad, and we're already, we've signed 3 this week, haven't we? So we'll probably just have to. We'll just have to watch. I think you're only allowed 5 in a match day squad and 3 to start.
Right, and how many do we have full time here? We've got 4, right? Because we've got Shadipo as well, right?
That's right. Who's been given number 7? Is that right?
That's correct.
So, I mean, that could be a front pairing, potentially. Cambury with Shadipo playing off and around him might be a pairing.
Could be.
And similarly with Patterson.
How did we do from our time from what little we saw from the Darren Moore Championship Sheffield Wednesday management season? Little excursion we had last season. How much did we really see of Patterson in kind of roles? Because it's interesting. We've had numerous managers who've sometimes brought him back and said, he's not a forward.
He's sort of an attacking midfield. Well, we saw all kinds of things from Patterson, didn't we? I think, including playing right back,
which wasn't successful.
It really did not work as an experiment.
No.
He looked terrible in the Chester game. I don't know if that's been a kind of uniform.
Did you see the stuff about how he shaved his head in support for his mum who's got breast cancer?
I did. He's a great guy. I think we know this sort of. He sort of immediately attained fan favourite sort of status, well, at least with us as fans. But that's a really it's a very sweet gesture, and it's great to see the fundraising that it's going towards is like 400% off the target. So I think Wednesday fans are doing their ever generous bit as well, which is really nice to see. Very heartening, all told. I feel a bit crap now for like having slagged off his professional performance, but obviously he's a very good human.
No, but I wondered as to whether there's been some stuff that's not helped.
I suppose
mind frame coming into the season.
Yeah, I also wonder whether some of the mindset of, we've talked about how he's an unconventional footballer, having not come through the academy system and things like that, and I wonder if there's a little bit of just not being that bothered about friendlies because they don't count for anything. So I know how to play football. I've been doing it for a while. I'll be really good when it matters, when it's the time. This does not bother me at all. I'm kicking about on a training pitch with a pub league team. Anyway, it'll be interesting to see. Anything else? Have we missed any rumours, or have we kind of done everything that we possibly?
I think we've done everything. We've talked a lot, haven't we?
Yeah.
Been a big old week.
Big old week. It's safe to say probably one of the better weeks in recent memory as a Wednesday.
Very much so, yeah. I think any week we make a double signing with two very good loan signings in Peacock Farrell and Wing is really up there.
Yeah, definitely. And we've been in the position before of going, we desperately need a forward, and then getting like the dustiest, mankiest old forward possible. So, I mean, Cambury is a big step up from some of the folks we've had roll in at that stage previously. In particular, I'm thinking about Steve Howard. Desperately need a striker. This guy has striker on his job description. He's barely moving now, but do you want to give it a go? So are we ready? Are we moving into prediction land?
Let's cross that boundary into prediction land.
Ooh-wee. And how do you want to do this? So we're going to do team to top six.
Top six. I think we can talk quickly about a team to struggle. Yeah. And then outside of that, I don't want to kind of commit a lot of information outside of that. I probably will be brutally honest. There's not a lot of teams I know particularly well about in this league. I'm sure I'll have that shoved in my face and we'll have some crushing defeats to some of these teams that will really kind of shove it in my face and I'll get very upset about on this podcast. But until then, yeah, there's not a lot. I don't think we can do this with the same level of focus that we have with like the championship, because it's new territory for Sheffield Wednesday Football Club.
It's very tough, sort of feeling our way, I think.
So I guess quickly we could do like teams to struggle. I think probably a team that I think I've seen a lot of mentions about struggling in this league. I'm going to go for Shrewsbury.
Okay. More of a struggle. They finished 17th last season, so more of a struggle than the season
They
before.
seem to have a typical kind of relegation battle from what little I've seen of kind of Shrewsbury, and I think they're going to be one of the teams to make up the 4. I know a lot of people mention Morecambe as well. So, but I think Shrewsbury is one that I think will definitely finish in the bottom 4.
Fair enough. Well, I think given that their manager seems to be about to get poached, I'm going to say MK Dons. That's going to be my.
That's I think a fair point. Yeah, I think MK Dons typically kind of hover around and kind of go through mini kind of cycles of decency, but I don't think they've ever been kind of in the ascendancy from typically when we were last here, really.
No.
Under those days of what's his chops with the boz-eyed scouser with the sweaters. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I know. I can picture him.
I know. I don't like picturing him because he's a knobhead.
I know. Carl Robinson.
Carl Robinson. Is it Carl Robinson? I think that's someone else, isn't it?
No, I'm pretty sure it's Carl Robinson.
I don't think it is. Okay. Oh, who was the previous managerial history of MK Dons? Which shouldn't be too substantial because
I'm pretty sure he was the manager from 2010 to 2016. I think he's your man.
It is Carl Robinson. It doesn't sound like a Carl Robinson.
It seems like that sounds like somebody off Neighbours, doesn't it?
He does, yeah.
Now he is at Oxford, who are probably one of the teams fancied to
be in and around.
Give it a right good go.
Give it a right good go. Yes. I thought Carl Robinson was like the name of a kind of not very exciting midfielder who played for Crystal Palace.
He might have been both.
That's someone else I'm thinking of. That's not him. That wasn't his footballing career. But yeah.
There is another Carl Robinson with a C.
Okay. Anyway.
Who even spent a little bit of time on loan at Sheffield Wednesday.
Oh, well, there we go.
And played for Toronto FC.
Oh, wow.
74 games for Toronto FC. And he is Welsh. He's Llandrindod Wells. This is 52 games for Wales. So there is 2 Carl Robinsons.
There's probably lots of Carl Robinsons.
No, there's only 2 in the world.
Okay, I'm pulling on some great correct energy. Let's move on to say, well, first of all, shall we say, let's focus on, we're going to go on to talk about our top 6, but shall we just give a little kind of peek? You know, when you're playing Texas Hold'em, you look at those 2 cards, you give them a little squeeze, and you're going to see, are we going to see in Richard Miller's, is our Sheffield Wednesday in Richard Miller's top 6? The survey says.
I think maybe yes. Just.
Okay. Because they're not outside my top 6. So
hopeless romantic.
Okay, so let's put that away, and we can talk about where Sheffield Wednesday turn up within our top 6 predictions.
Oh.
Who should go first? Shall I go first?
Well,
I'll go first.
Are we going sixth
to first? Yeah.
Well, see, I'm going to go Wednesday 6th. I think if we get there,
okay, interesting.
There.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's my so I have us as 6th place. I think.
Any kind of notes or thoughts about why you've plumped us for 6, Rich?
I mean, it's the giddy excitement of a small girl before the season starts. You know, all things are possible, and it's going to be someone. Why not us?
Mm-hmm.
I like what I'm hearing from Darren Moore. I like what I'm hearing about Darren Moore. I'm choosing to believe in Darren Moore, and I think I think with the caliber of signings that we've made, if we can maybe get 3, maybe another 2 or 3 through the door of that similar sort of level, I think we've probably got one of the better squads going into it without knowing a huge amount of about the other teams. As we touched on, this is a brand new league with new depths to plumb in terms of getting shown up by our lack of knowledge and the hidden gems that each club provides. But I think that's why I think we might have enough at the end of the day to sort of sneak in there. And it'd be nice potentially to have that coming on a bit of a run, because sometimes you can be sixth and be the form team. That's my hope. It's the hope that kills you. So who's your 6th team?
6th, I've gone for Sunderland. Sunderland just smell of eternal third-tier disappointment. I don't get why they're constantly peppering the top of the prediction leagues, but then we've also been thought of being decent in a big fish in this league when we've been dog shit. So I can probably see some of the logic as to why Sunderland pep around these areas. I think they can probably go for 6 and have another kind of playoff disappointment within that fabric of them ending 6. I'm going to kind of snake this now. So 5th, I've gone.
Go for it. That's good.
For Sheffield Wednesday.
Oh.
I think that primarily I'm starting to see some sides, some decent-ish championship underperformers with a fair whack of the worst performers done and gone from the Sheffield Wednesday squad from last season. It's a squad with a fair amount of imbalance, and I do want to say the benefit of Rich and I doing his prediction a lot closer to the start of the new season, following a period where we've made 6 fantastic signings to this level, really helps have a good idea as to where I think the Sheffield Wednesday team can finish. 6 signings, and then I'm not including, actually, because I wrote this before Florian arrived. By the way, also with Florian, can I just say as well, did you enjoy the little video message he gave to supporters where he said, "Hi, it's Florian"?
Yes.
Like we would have been upset if he hadn't referred to us using his first name. And like we all knew who he was, right? We weren't feverishly tapping in his details into YouTube to get a look at, any of his previous decent times. So 6 signings that I've kind of mentioned, but, that I would genuinely be happy with for a championship reboots. Some kind of upside with number 7. And some signings that ones have been crying out for. To think we have 2 excellent recruits in the middle of the park and Adnair and wings shows a real embarrassment of riches. The names that are coming are really exciting me, and I think when we start to look at the striker situation, I do think we'll have some decent acquisitions for this area. Regardless, I actually think the strengths of the names and the acquisitions are really going to show that we can get goals from different areas of the pitch. Bailey Peacock-Farrell is fantastic and shows we're dressing a real weakness. I can only hope the defense gets a little bit of bolstering too. I think this will be a tough league, but I think that we're just going to have enough firepower and quality that'll put us in a winning position more often than not. 5th is an incredibly positive placement for me, as a few weeks ago I was genuinely looking for relegation odds before the off-pitch issues were sorted and we started to make new signings.
Fair point. Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you said and a lot of the caveats as well. I'm in a very similar. We've put ourselves in a similar position. We're not expecting. I saw William Hill posted HMS walk the league, which I don't think anybody uses that one, do they? But
no, but I guess social media is looking to maybe put a censor on some of the things that Wednesday fans have come out with before, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to jut across to Rich, who's going to 5th and 4th for us. 5th place in League One, 2021-2022 season. Rich is saying,
I I've got a bit of a hard. I sort of struggled with where to put people. I felt fairly confident in my members of my top six for no good reason. It's an absolute hubris-based confidence. It's not based on any actual knowledge. But who fell where is a little bit more woolly. But I'm gonna say Charlton. They seem to be on a path of recovery. They were pretty close last time. They're obviously a team with a bit of caliber and history about them. So I think I can see them finishing fifth or fourth. Certainly in the playoff places this season. Fifth, so fourth, I'm going to go for a similar story. So Bolton.
Now, interesting.
Got promoted last season, so a bit of momentum on their side. They have put together a kind of bustling young team. The fans are back on board. Again, it's that kind of turnaround. Everything seemed awful. I'd like to put us in that same basket of, things were terrible and then they start to turn around. I don't know that I'm not convinced that Depp John's had that sort of come to Jesus moment that he needs. But certainly something's corrected his attitude, which is good. We've also not had any real regime change in the way that those other clubs have had. So there's a worry that ours is a little bit of a false dawn. But both Charlton and Bolton seem to be on a bit of a journey, and maybe the next step for both of them is a playoff berth. That momentum can go a long way in League One. It's a different league to the Championship. It's very rare for clubs to go up two on the bounce in the Championship, but it happens with a fair amount of regularity in League One.
Interesting.
So that's my call. We'll go across for your fourth and third.
Fourth is Charlton. I said, yes, Charlton will have a really good time, and by that, they'll have a mildly better season than their arch rivals, those nasty, wasty Wendy's. Sean Flair and the Duff centre forward pairing of Jaden Stockley and Connor Washington will probably do very well at League One level. They'll probably do a bit more in the transfer window, I suspect. Nigel Adkins will find the biggest room in his house, which is obviously, as he said before, the room for improvements, and improve upon fluffing up the playoffs last season. Third, moving up, I'm going to go for WAWAW. Warney loves the third tier. WAWAW love themselves League One. Back in their elements and just missing out on automatic promotion is my call. Surely it's time for the mini pigs to have a swill hand-me-town from their porky pals at the Stain. It makes sense in my limited and lame football manager mode.
Very good. So I'm on the cusp of automatic promotion here.
Ooh.
Well,
third and second, or do you want to go third and then we'll trade off second, first?
Don't mind. I suppose it doesn't make a huge amount of difference. Let's keep snaking it because it just means I'll do third, second. You'll do second, first, and I'll just do my third. So we end up doing kind of 1-1 either way.
Snaky. We're like a Nokia 3310.
Third place is going to be Sunderland. I think they're going to continue there. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride type existence down in League One, and once again be the team that probably leads the charge for a long period of time, but then dips down at the key moment and finishes third, kind of licking their wounds, and probably loses in the semi-finals of the playoffs as well. It's a tale as old as time, and I can't wait to watch it on Netflix. That leaves me with a slightly odd top two. Now, looking at them together in the cold light of,
Three in the morning
conversation,
mm-hmm.
It seems like a really odd mix. But I'm going to go for Oxford for second.
Okay, so that's just your second. Okay, and then you're just going to do anything to say about Oxford?
The same sort of. They were the playoff team last time. They seem to be on this sort of continuing build. They've got a good team of I'm trying to think. They're not young, but they're at that stage of like just kind of that kind of early 20s. They've got a team full of that sort of age of players, a kind of coming of age squad, and a fair few talents that are, it's now or never for them.
Real Stand By Me squad, you're saying, Rich?
That's right, yeah. So I think
bit of River Phoenix and Will Wheaton.
That's right.
Yeah.
Do you want to see a dead body? No, I want to see what Cole Robinson can do with this group of promising footballers. So you're now on for second and first.
Second. So in the process of typing out this top six, here I ran out of options, and I basically found amongst the list of teams missing from my list was Portsmouth, who were often tipped for top stuff in this league, and basically I cannot figure out why they're much cop. I will also remember a young lady whose dad was from Portsmouth and supported them, and she broke my heart to smithereens, so fuck Pompey. That means in second is a joint tie between Lincoln and some random third-tier side who isn't Lincoln or Portsmouth. Play up everyone else in this league.
Excellent.
Which leads me to my number one, and I'm wondering if we're going the same number one here, Rich. I think we might. But anyway, I will pick my number one as Ipswich. I think with Paul Cook and the investment he has had behind him, I think they'll probably be top of the pops. Macaulay Bonne, Lester Piggott, I think his name's Lester Piggott. Piggott, if that's the wrong name. And Chaplin from the Dingles are all great signings. And to a lesser degree, you've got George Edmondson and former Piglet Lee Evans. No, not that one. And I think they will take them to the next level. With the dull swaggery of being sponsored by Ipswich Town's answer to Elton John, Ed, how are those breadsticks, Sir Sheeran? They will swing their methodical combine harvesting Johnsons about and give their fans a rare outing of success in a history of somehow being more successful than Coventry. Congratulations, League One champions, Ipswich Town.
I haven't gone for the same team, Luke.
Wow. Okay.
Ipswich were in my honourable mentions. They were
okay.
Close, but no combine harvester driving cigar for you. Keep your big-eared boys on the farm because you're not going to the championship. I'm going for, so similar to your Rotherham sort of, I've gone for Wickham.
You've gone for Wickham?
I think they've got that joie de vivre.
Joie de vivre.
They've got a rock and roll manager. They figured out what they were all about in by the end of the season in the championship. Finished well enough that it would have been them that survived rather than us if Derby had their points deduction that they should have had by every means that I can actually see. So I think they should be a championship side rightfully, and I think there'll be a bit of that kind of pain to drive them on, and I think they'll do it. I think they'll. I don't know that they'll win. That's the thing. I think like where people finish is a bit more up in the air for me. I'm not kind of declaratively saying they'll absolutely nail it, but I think I'll be right up there. So there we go.
Wow. Some surprises, I must say. Did you? So you said you've kind of picked some. You picked some honorable mentions. I mean, we
Well,
can
just
kind of maybe
yeah.
go
I
into
mean,
that before we talk
really,
a
it's
bit more about
Ipswich.
Sheffield Wednesday.
Really, Ipswich are the honourable mentions.
If
That's
such honorable
about it.
mentions. Okay.
I guess
Well,
the
when going
positive.
for me, I think maybe, Oxford might be an honorable
Mm.
mention, I think, as well. But interesting. So I guess the final thing is to just talk a bit about Sheffield Wednesday. Predicting Sheffield Wednesday's player of the season for this upcoming season and looking at who we think is going to be the top scorer.
Yeah.
Shall I go
Big
first with player of the season? You can go player of the season. Let's snake it back. So I'll do player of the
sneak it back.
season. You do player of the season, top scorer, and I'll finish with my top scorer.
Okay.
Sheffield Wednesday player of the season. I'm going to go for Lewis Wing. I think he's going to have a big impact, and I think he's going to have a fairly sizable, kind of very positive imprint on the Sheffield Wednesday team. I think he'll create a lot in this league, and I think he'll be shown that it'll be a really smart loan signing for our team. Mm-hmm.
Nice. I was going to say, sort of flat. You mentioned that our mutual friend Phil's review was that flatters to deceive like Reach. I think with Reach we had like 3 years of just pure flattery, and then all of the deception was packed in at the end. Because we had some lovely, lovely times, and if we can do some of that with Lewis Wing, nice choice.
Thank you, sir.
I'm going to go for a previous winner of this award, and it's hope that he comes back from his injury. But if he stays fit and doesn't get signed by somebody in January, I think Dominic Iorfa is going to be player of the season for us.
Nice.
I just think if we see the continuation of that, I mean, if he's not taken a step back with his injury, all that confidence he was showing, I mean, he was just a joy to watch at centre back, a level above this. I can't see him being anything other than absolute monster this time round. You've got that pace, the strength, the physique, the runs from time to time. So he can, I mean, if he can turn in some end product to that would be incredible. I think if we've got Wing and we've got some options, we might be putting some better deliveries into the box potentially. So he's got the opportunity to get goals as well. So Dominic Iorfa is my choice for player of the season, and I can see him getting potentially up to about 10 goals if given the opportunity.
Wow.
He attacks the ball brilliantly.
I think there should be when Harry met Sally, and I'll have what Rich is having. And since Rich and I had a very small, nice little trip to said Delhi, where that was filmed, what Rich is going to be having is a diet Dr. Brown's. I'll be having the full fat Dr. Brown's, but it'll be rather excellent soda pop.
It's a beautiful soda.
Mm-hmm.
So that leaves me to say top scorer.
Now, since this is interesting, so you've just mentioned Dominic Iorfa with 10 goals, or potentially. But anyway.
I'm not doing that again.
With 25 goals, it's Shea Dunkley.
He's done it before. He can do it again. The temptation here is to go for the player you picked last year, rightly. Probably our best player. But this injury and the lack of news about the injury is really turning me off picking Windass. It feels too much of a gamble right at the moment. I mean, I've never known an injury that takes sort of the 3 weeks to even know what the injury is, the extent of it. All kind of worrying signs. There's also the potential that he gets signed and goes elsewhere, obviously. So I'm going to go for somebody that's a bit tried and true, and go for your man Show Dippo. He's going to be the hungry hippo getting us goals this season. He's gonna bag 15 and be our top scorer.
Awesome. Darren Moore there, just bashing that bit of plastic on his Shadipo hungry hippo, gobbling up those wee little balls of goals. There we go. Fantastic.
I love how I have a habit of doing the same thing that Darren Moore does in interviews, and like waiting till the person asks the question and saying, "Yeah." So like he's kind of waiting. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Like I don't know. It's a fun habit. Yeah, but
he's very likable, isn't he?
Of course, he's a very hungry hippo. We wanted to bring him to the club because he's
got a bigger mouth, so it kind of cheats when you're playing the game.
Who are you going for, Luke? Who's your man?
Yet to join, new striker, Wednesday's new number 9, A. Striker with 16 goals.
Trialist.
Trialist number 5.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
The number 9.
Number 9. Mm-hmm.
It's intriguing. I mean, I think probably we will get somebody more, one more in the forward berth. I don't know. I mean, obviously, it's intriguing that number 9 is just sat there. But with Patterson and Cambery now,
mm-hmm.
I don't know what that person looks like. Certainly not. We don't need another big front man. Some sort of nippy goal poacher type. Well, I hope we're not we're not misplacing our faith and our hopes. I hope that we're right in terms of Wednesday having a better season this season. Are we giving ourselves the caveat that we can look at it again once the transfer window closes? You can make last-minute corrections before submitting your ballot. No. You don't like that idea.
No, I don't like that idea at all. I
mean,
we should.
You are the person that would benefit most from it, really. I think.
Really?
Well, what if number 9 ends up being the number we give to the Swansea?
I did jokingly say that number 2 spot in this league is kind of anybody apart from Portsmouth.
Yes,
that's. I kind of went for Lincoln. I guess it's Lincoln.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll firmly put that in, but just wanted to make a point that fuck Portsmouth.
Oh dear. Do you know my hope for the season is we get to see a bit more Deli Bashiru.
That would be nice.
That was a great goal he scored.
How much would we need to see of Deli Bashiru to see him more than? Do you have a record, or can you pull up a record while we're speaking to see how many minutes did Deli Bashiru play in the Championship last year for Sheffield Wednesday?
Minutes.
Well, first of all, how many games did he play for Sheffield Wednesday?
Soccer Base should do that, shouldn't it?
Soccer Base should do that, indeed.
This is what you come here for, folks.
This is what you came for.
Live Googling. One man struggle with technology.
No. Which is bashing his palm into the keyboard right now.
Well, it doesn't.
Angry and upset that the computer does not pick up on his intentions.
It doesn't give minutes, unfortunately. Okay. But he started 2 league games.
He started 2 league games. 6. And he came off the bench in 6.
and he was on the bench for 2 FA Cup. Came off the bench for 2 FA Cup games.
So
started the 3. And
I feel pretty confident that he's going to play 90 minutes in about 5 league games at the very least, which would be a significant improvement on his last season.
It would, wouldn't it?
For Sheffield Wednesday. Yeah, here's hoping. I really have everything, literally have a lot of things crossed for him to have a good season. I want him to do well. I think he has the ability to do well.
He's got something that I don't. Well, I mean, obviously we've got a new midfield now, but I haven't seen a Wednesday player that has that ability to just kind of like power through a tackle or two and make something happen for a long time. And I just would like to see it on the pitch a bit more. It's quite funny on Soccer Base, by the way. They've really not updated things for a long time. They've got players, because they're trying to say that it's A to Z. So for teams, they go from Aberdeen to Yeovil, which is fair enough. But for players, they Adebayor to Zamora. They need to update that, don't they?
They really do. They really do. Did I tell you that Flash Goal was giving a little bit of a preview of Sheffield Wednesday against Huddersfield and said that Tom Lees was an injury concern for Sheffield Wednesday?
Oh. When the rumour is that he would be an injury concern for
Huddersfield Town.
The opposition. And Reach has been linked with the club now. West Bromwich.
He has indeed, yeah.
It's interesting seeing those guys get picked up. I thought that it was a bit strange that they hadn't been signed by anybody yet.
No, but didn't Alan Nixon seem to say he's got a bit of a choice on his hands? He can be a squad filler at West Brom, or he can be a starter at Blackburn Rovers. That seems to be the question for him, which is interesting. So interesting. We'll put this out after the Sheffield Wednesday's first game of the season. I was under the impression that even though this was a very ridiculous time frame in my book, Sunday at 1 o'clock UK time, 6 a.m. in the morning here, I thought this would be something that would have been put on Sky Sports, but it's not. It's just had a random time picked. If you're there in person, Rich, you're not making the trip to Essex tomorrow?
No, I hadn't planned on it.
Okay, you're saving up your energy for the league proper.
Yes.
And I cannot stream the game, so poo-poo, really.
We will watch YouTube highlights. Yay!
Yay.
I might listen to it. That's one option.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to get up to listen to it. That doesn't seem something I want to be doing with my time.
I think for me, it was just, planning-wise, it took them a long time to announce what was happening, and by the time they announced it, I was kind of made other plans. Well, it's all kind of up in the air. I don't know how it is in terms of COVID restrictions and stuff in Alberta, but
everything's open, and it looks like we're all basically just going to get COVID. That's basically
that's kind of the UK's plan as well.
Right. Well, it seems like we've looked at what the UK have done and then seen if we can set the bar lower than what yourselves are doing. So that seems to be what's going on here.
But in terms of public events and public spaces, there's like a lot of back end thinking happening. So it's like, open everything up, let's go mad. And you don't need to do there's no rules or restrictions anymore. And then kind of going, maybe it would be nice if everybody could do a little bit of a rule or restriction. If you could do that, that would be very kindly. Thank you. So basically the nightclubs are going to be open for a month, and then you're going to have a vaccine or a test to get into a nightclub after a month. So it's like, have at it, go mad. So I think with the football season, they were talking about maybe having rules in place where you have to have your second jab or show a clear test to get into a stadium. But at the moment, there's nothing. There's no restrictions, and wearing a mask is like if you feel like it, if you want to.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's great fun. It's really good to have this clear steer on things. What a great time to be alive. So yeah, hopefully we're still in the cup by the time you hear this, but who knows? If a disappointing cup tie happens and nobody's there to hear it, did a disappointing cup tie happen?
Exactly.
It's one of those big quandaries. We're all over Schrodinger's cat and the tree falling down / League Cup game happening. You know, the existence of that event in the absence of observance. Anyway, yeah, there we go. Onwards and upwards. Best of luck in the rest of the week ahead, Luke, and
you too.
Hope you remain well and fit as a fiddle with all of your performance enhancing drugs that you're allowed to take.
Thank
and same to everybody at home. Whether it's EPO, testosterone, nandrolone, whatever gets you through the day. Cheerio, folks.
Have a good one, everyone.